Namaste. Welcome to Dawkins Enterprise. This is Sister Sharice, and I am so grateful to have you here with me today. I desire to always remain in my highest vibration. I am grateful for the Most High, my spirit guides, my ancestors, and the angels who always protect me, guide me, and love me. Welcome in again to my episode 6 of the series on relationships. Welcome in. Thank you always to my subscribers for helping my channel grow. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and take the time to hit that subscribe button. Relationships. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Relationships. Many people look at the same things in different ways, especially relationships. I'm going to give myself as an example. In 2006, what was it? September 16th, 2006, I got married. The one and only time we didn't jump the broom. Did we jump the broom? I don't think we jumped the broom. No, my mother did. She was married twice. Once to my father, and then when she married the other man, I was present because she got married to my father before I was born. So I did see her jump the broom, but I did not jump the broom. But I married a man that was a part of my youth. Before I got to high school, we used to go together. Remember those days? We used to go with people or whatever. But he had me fooled. I really thought that he wanted to be married. But anyway, I had the prettiest wedding ever. More beautiful than I could have ever imagined. You know, I wanted my father to be able to walk me down the aisle. And I really thought this man wanted to share a life together. But it really didn't work out, you know. And I really gave him the benefit of the doubt. You know, back in those days, one of my flaws at that time was loving to a detriment, to my detriment. I would love. I am love. I walk in love. So it was difficult for me to differentiate with love, you know. But now I understand that there has to be boundaries. I'm on a self-love journey, so I'll never forget again to always love yourself, you know. And with the love that runneth over from what I pour into my cup, I will give to others graciously, 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 yes. So anyway, we're going to talk about my marriage. There's so much that happened in the 11 months that we lived together. By the time we had our wedding anniversary, it was already a wrap. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm going to just tell you the facts. I'm not going to talk about the little parts that I think, how you stitching everything together and it's missing parts. But anyway, from the beginning, it was problematic. At the time, I was going to a church. And my husband, who became my friend, it became my fiance, it became my husband, started going to the church with me where I was going. And man, did the people try to warn me. But I believed that my husband wanted to be married. So I did skip over all the red flags. You see them. Everybody knows that when you see red flags, they are red flags. But anyway. So, got married on a Saturday. What they say about Murphy's Law, everything that could go wrong will go wrong. That's what happened with me. But despite all of the little mishaps, nobody even knew. It went beautifully, like it was planned that way. Okay? I was nervous. I was. My mother had already passed away. And I worked my little poor father to death, honey. I worked him on my wedding. Yes, I did. He had to, I had it all set up. But anyway, the first mishap was my programs were left at the house of the person that picked them up from the copiers. Whatever. They were so nice. I did them myself. Anyway, I have learned lessons, though, about dealing with people. But anyway, the programs were not there. So, it worked out so beautifully. A gentleman was sitting in the audience. I did know him. I had invited him to my wedding, but I didn't know him that much. I knew him from, working with music and stuff. But anyway, he saw that it was a problem. He was like, what to do? And the coordinator, I had a coordinator. She got up and she just was getting ready to, because we had the one that we had her practicing with. So she had hers. I didn't worry about it because I knew they had the copies. But anyway, she got up and she started speaking the program. And a gentleman that I knew musically got up out of the audience and just went over to the piano and started playing the piano. It was so elegantly done. And it was done where the audience thought that it was meant to be that way. But, God will show up and show out, especially when the devil is doing his thing. And God be like, yeah, you thought you did something, but check this out. So anyway, I didn't really have a lot of time to plan the wedding, So what I did, I told the bridesmaids, I said, pick out a pink dress. It was so beautiful the way that the dresses were. It was like we did it together the way you supposed to, all go together. I ain't do it like that. I said just pick you a pick dress out. It don't matter. But it was 3 different designs of pink dresses. But the same color. It was so pretty. And no, I have no wedding pictures. None of my pictures. All of my lifelong family pictures, my pictures, pictures from the ancestors that I had, everything gone. It was a collaboration, and people just won't rest. But that's on them. Anyway, my wedding was so pretty. I told the candle holders or whatever, the candle lighters, to pick out their own stuff and what the colors were, and they got down. They had little steps and stuff they was doing, and they had their little skirts and everything. Oh man, it was so pretty. My wedding was pretty. I had overly abundance of things. I had people gift me things like somebody gifted me flowers that they handmade. The flowers that they put on and around and on the tables and all that. And then somebody else gifted me fresh flowers. What? Someone gifted me the money to pay for the reception hall. That's one of the most expensive things. I had a lot of gifts and a lot of people showed up. I was so surprised that the people came out, and then people were angry with me because I did not invite them. I'm telling you, it happened so fast. It wasn't like you planned it for a year. I didn't have one of them kind. I got married, I can't even remember right now how long it was, but I know it was a short period of time. I planned the wedding, and then we got married. And it was just a big old thing, like with the license, and where was it? We couldn't find a license, and man, the pastor wasn't gonna marry us without that license in his hand. I think somebody was doing some slick stuff, holding on to the license because they really didn't want me to go down that rabbit hole. But I did. But life is about lessons. But anyway, so now we get married. And now, when you get married, oh man, my friend came all the way from New York and missed the whole wedding. Her and my cousin ran off somewhere. I don't know what they had going on, but it was just a lot of things that happened. But it was so many great things happening that it did not mess anything up. The food, oh my goodness. I had my cousin Beatrice cook all the food. Rest her soul. She is a great cook. Was a great cook. Yes. I had all my favorite foods, and I had so much food. I knew she was going to cook like that, though. Man, my favorite dishes, she cooked them all, and it was food forever. I had the top of the wedding cake. We ain't gonna talk about the cake. The cake thing didn't go too good. It didn't taste too good. But that was the assignment I had given someone else. And they're like, oh, I didn't know. But you know, back then I was giving people benefit of the doubt. Now I know that people know exactly, at this grown age, people know exactly what they doing. And it's still okay because it's that thing called karma. You know, whatever you put out, it's going to find its way back around to you. It's how it is. So anyway, on the wedding, we all kicked it, we danced. I had in-laws. I thought it was going to be cool. I had a sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and I knew these people. They parents knew my parents. You know, they all went to school together because we all was in the same neighborhood, you know. But it did not work out. So, everything's over with. Pack up the car. Gifts galore. Oh my God. So many things. Beautiful. Nice things. And I felt like I deserved it. And I did. I got Rams blanket with the Rams leather logo on there. The little with the fur, blue fur. Man, I got a lot of nice gifts, and I was so appreciative. And even when the marriage didn't work out, I still cherish every item that I got, you know. People were so good to me, and you know, the good times are not as many as, you know, a lot of things that I've been through. Been through a lot, you know. But the good times, even with all these bad things that were happening in between in this wedding, you know, disappointments and things that I planned, you know, were deliberately, you know, offset or just did not work out the way I planned. It still was overall beautiful. People still talking about, oh, Miss Dawkins. My friends, my associates, my co-workers, everybody came out and showed out, and I'm so appreciative. And then I was kind of guilty that it wasn't working out because I knew that night, not that night, well, it became problematic that night. But the next morning, I knew it wasn't going to work. Even though I kept working toward having a successful marriage, I knew that next morning, since we weren't going on a honeymoon or anything, imagine that, getting married, supposed to have a honeymoon, but, you know, whatever. We had rings. He said, I'm getting up Sunday morning because it's Sunday morning and we go to church. We ain't going on honeymoon, so I figured we going to church. And that man told me, quote, unquote, I ain't never going back to that church no more. And I was like, what? But I didn't trip off of it. I went. But on my way to church, I stopped by the bank and deposited all the cash money because that night, you know, prior to Sunday, that night we got married, we sat there and opened up all them gifts and stuff and all them cards. And it was a lot of money in there, you know, for a dude like him was tripping off for that kind of money. I was like, oh, cool, we got some bill money. We can take care of some things, you know. And luckily, I had put the money in the bank on the way to church. Because when I got home from church, imagine my shot. I get home from church, the house tore up. The house tore up. I'm like, what in the world done happened? But what it was my husband was looking for that money, honey. He was looking for that money. And then was mad at me because the money was gone because I put it in the bank, baby. And so he asked me for something to eat, and being the wonderful person that I am, he had an attitude though, and the house was all messed up, but he wasn't saying nothing, and I ain't get it at first, you know. But all that wonderful food we had from the wedding, he was like, "Can you fix me a plate?" And I was like, "Sure," even though he was like, "What's going on?" I went in the kitchen, and I, with love, all the love in my heart, it's the first day after being married, and I'm finna fix my husband a plate, honey. I fixed my husband a plate, and I walked back in that living room where he was watching that football game, and he was gone. Gone, you hear me? Gone all night long, gone. The first night after we got married. I knew when he said, I ain't never going to that church no more, it wasn't going to work. So anyway, when he finally came home, it wasn't that night. Because granted, you know what time you get out of church? What? 1:30? 1 o'clock, something like that, 12:30. Well, this church I went to, it's a little later. It's about 1:30. When the football game come on, 2 o'clock. This man was gone, baby. So the next day, of course, it's Monday. I'm finna go to work. I get up and I'm finna go to work. Whenever he came on back, he did not have his wedding ring. Talking about if I give him so much money. I already been through that before. You got me messed up. You won't have no wedding ring. And then when I got to a situation, we were still married, living together, but I needed some medicine. I would be dealing with this bronchitis and stuff. And since he had already pawned his, gave his, whatever he did with his wedding ring, I pawned my wedding ring. And I got my medicine. I sure did. If you ain't got yours, I ain't gonna have mine. And boy, I went back to work and people was calling me by the last name. And we having so many problems. I never did legally change my name because before I could even do it, here you go making me think I done made a big mistake. But by this time, I had already learned not to run. When you're learning a lesson, learn the lesson. Don't just run when you see, oh, this ain't for me. Yep, it ain't for you, but it's been placed on your path for a reason. Until you understand what that reason is, it's best to figure that out first before you pew. Because when you are put in situations where you are to learn a lesson and you don't learn the lesson is going to come back. And it can be a little worse the next time. When you don't do it, when you're faced with it, when it come back around, the conditions are more deplorable. Believe me. I've been through things, you know. People sit back and have attitude when I'm what I call sharing. But when I was a younger person, I used to listen to the people, the elders, the ones that been through some things. You don't have to take everything somebody say. You take in, you know, you never know when something is going to help you with your life. I loved being around older people. I used to sit at my auntie feet. Tell me about the roaring 20s. Tell me about the Great Depression. I used to ask them all type of things. And, you know, maybe one day we'll get to share that. But right now, today, we're talking about my marriage. It got real crazy, y'all. He wanted to say, I can't find no job. I can't find no job. That's what I do. I help people. What? You can't what? I helped him get the best job he ever had. I ain't never see a dime from it. Every time he got a paycheck, he ran off somewhere. I was like, man, I ain't gonna keep on being able to do this. But I had married him. So now I'm in conflict with myself and my God, because when you marry someone, it's supposed to be for thick and thin, for sickness and health. To death do we part. I agreed to those things. So I knew things were difficult. I didn't know how it was going to work. But I didn't give up on it, you know. But I did tell him that I can't live like this, how you got me living. And we're going to have to do something. Or I am going to cut it. I'm not finna keep on living like this. You putting me in danger. You running off. You're not acting like you want to be married. And I don't know what you out here doing. You ain't gonna be being with me and I'll be gone 3-4 days till the money gone. Anyway. He run off one day and I knew something happened when an ex of mine showed up. He driving, I'm walking. He driving, trying to pick me up, and I'm married to another man. So, as a married woman, I didn't feel it was appropriate to be riding with somebody, even though my husband ain't got no car. I ain't even seen him in some days. And he ain't acting like he no husband. But he was my husband. Anyway, on the law books. And I guess to God, because we did a ritual celebration, all that where I do, all that. So, in my heart of hearts, I would not get in that man's car. So he pulled a car over because he know me. And I don't even know why he playing all these games with all these people, telling all these lies. When you already know that my character is not of those things that those people are accusing me of. And so anyway, back to the story. I would not get in his car, so he pulled over because he already know me. He know I ain't finna do that. And then he started walking alongside me. And immediately he started talking about, don't worry about it. Marriages don't always work out. And I'm looking like, what? Yeah, man. This like on a Wednesday. I ain't seen my husband since, what, Friday? Payday. But that was normal. He would always act like that. I wasn't tripping off of nothing. I didn't know what had happened to him. But this gentleman, who I used to date, walking alongside of me, telling me about how marriages don't always work out and this, that, and the other, whatever. Which was a flag to me. Like, how did he know? Why he just showing up? All of a sudden, he know. Since I got married to this man, I'm not finna be fraternizing with no other men. Everybody ain't the same, but the people that know me. That's why I don't understand. Or I do understand. I overstand that if somebody is coming to you, telling you about somebody who you know that are untruths, and you don't even have the decency to come and ask the person that you know, these are people, strangers, lying. But the people that actually know me, have spent time with me, and have an opinion of what they experience, you don't just get on the bandwagon with the lies and stuff. And you had ill intent on me already, because ain't no way that somebody that know me could believe the type of lies that people have been putting out there. I ran into somebody a couple of months ago. Said, not only just that one, it's been several people. Said, Sharice, man, they had us thinking you was out here bad, doing all kind of stuff. I was like, man, you know me. He was like, yeah, I knew. But, man, I was like, man, I don't know. Because I hadn't seen you in a while. And so I was like, could that be true? A leopard don't change their spots like that. Have I ever been easy? Have I ever did things like that for money? Come on now. And my husband knew me. And he knew I was a good person. But my thing was, if you just needed some help or an address or whatever you was looking for, I would have helped you. You didn't have to say you wanted to be married just to get, ahead in life. But anyway, it did not work out. We went through a plethora of ups and downs. He was fighting me and everything. It was terrible. So it really doesn't feel like I've ever been married. But I wasn't bitter. And I'm not bitter towards Mary. I'm not even bitter towards him. When I saw him years later, he wouldn't even speak to me when he saw me. He divorced me. And I was cool with that. Because people take advantage of nice people. And nice people ain't always nice. They nice, but they ain't gonna keep on letting you take advantage of them. When I was younger, I had more patience, and I would see how far people would go with things. But now that I'm a little older, nobody got time for games and stuff like that. Come on, we grown, Urbana mud. Be yourself, accept your own. I, self-love and master. Know yourself. Accept yourself. Flaws and all. Everybody got flaws. Everybody got weaknesses. Something wrong when everybody want to be the exact same. I don't know where it came from, but it really wasn't in my generation. We were rewarded for our individuality. But I noticed, even later, even when I became a school teacher, you know, the kids was like, give me some candy, I'll do my work. I'm like, I give you a pencil and some paper over here. You know, candy for doing what you're supposed to be doing anyway. Things turned around psychologically with this education thing. You know, they started giving, you know, they have a spelling bee and then they give everybody a certificate instead of just the winners. It developed a false sense of entitlement even when you haven't done the work to receive the certificate or the reward. And so I don't try to waste my time a lot now. And a lot of people think I'm mean and stuff, but I'm 58 years old. I don't have time for that kind of stuff no more. There's some things that I'm working on that I have some plans. And I'd rather use my time checking off the goals that I've set. Getting to some of the bucket list things that I want to do. Hell, just sitting in a room by myself rather than wasting my time with some stuff from lessons I've already learned. You know, once we've learned some lessons, we got to learn them and not keep going around because other people want to. At any rate, my husband divorced me and I accepted. We did not make it 12 months in a house together, but I still kept cooking food for him every day. I kept washing his clothes. I kept driving him. We ended up going to therapy with the church, and this man, oh my God, went to therapy. We ain't gonna get too much in it, but the pastor was like, y'all ain't been rolling around in the dirt. Y'all ain't been fighting. You ain't threw no lamp at him. I'm like, why would I throw anything at him? Or just take stuff I spent my money on and just destroy it. When we could talk about it. What are you? I'm like, I must be at the wrong place. Because who would tell them it ain't serious enough yet if you haven't thrown things at him? They used to have to call the police on me and my wife. Well, they ain't gonna have to call the police, but we did have to call the police. My daughter called because he was trying to fight me. But anyway, I didn't call the police. But the police came. And then he left the house because the police told me there's something wrong with him. And your safety is involved. But they took him to his mama's house. And I never had no hard feelings against him. It just didn't work out. But enough of my marriage. I don't really like talking about that stuff, but I had promised that I would. So, my mother always told me, Sharice, everyone has their own agenda. And my father always said, everything that's supposed to happen, happens. Until we meet again, thank you for tuning in to Sister Sharice and Dawkins Enterprises. Hit the subscribe button, like the video, comment, and I'll see you the next time. Ashe, Ashe.